Michiko and Hatchin series finale Run As You Are. This was a really good final episode. It was very interesting because I was wondering how everything was going to play out, and we get a very interesting first opening scene where it's actually Hatchin as an adult, and she has a baby and everything, and she's cooking eggs and stuff, and then it has the opening, and then it jumps back to basically where the last episode left off. And it was pretty cool. It was nice to see that Michiko actually survived because that was the thing I was really freaked out about. And it was, as usual, it was pretty cool to see how it played out. And this was once again one of those moments where Hatchin really stepped up and she did everything she could to make sure that both of them got out of it. Because Michiko's like, that's what I'm trying to do. And Hatchin decided that she would do the same thing. She'd work to make sure that she and Michiko got out of that crappy situation, and that's exactly what happened. And it was really cool her jumping on like the police officer who I hated. I didn't like that guy because he was just trying to kill her and have things done with. Unfortunately, which I think we all knew was going to happen. The guy he told to pick up his gun picked up the wrong one, or he actually, well, technically he picked up the right gun because he said it was empty, but I guess it wasn't. I guess it wasn't his gun. It was just the random gun. It wasn't his gun. So fortunately, he picked up the gun that he threw, and so that was the empty one, which was really fortunate. And then that allowed them to escape. Atsuko shows up again in this episode, which I thought might happen, and she shows up with her partner, actually. And she still manages to piss him off in like the final episode. And it's like, oh, let the girl go. And then, of course, she lets Michiko go as well, at least for that final moment, so that she can finally get to Hiroshi. And I'm assuming she told her entire plan, like, let me take take Hatchin to Hiroshi and then send them away, and then I'll turn myself in again. And so she somehow convinces her partner again. Plus, all the other cops around them, I guess they don't have really any jurisdiction because basically they were the two taking over, so they couldn't say anything against them. But somehow she managed to do it again, so they end up meeting Hiroshi. He was actually still there. He didn't get on the train for whatever random reason. And their interaction between Hiroshi and Michiko is actually surprising because from the time they met, like his ex-girlfriend, when he was at that place wherever they were making like the crazy giant tomatoes, it seemed like he was flat out on the run. He left because he found out she got out of prison, and so he was basically on the run from her since then. And then when she finally gets up to him in this episode, he made it seem like he was the one worried that she wouldn't care about him anymore or something like that. And I was like, it's weird. I thought he'd be freaking out a little because, basically the whole thing was that he was taken off so that she couldn't find him. But he seemed totally fine. And I was like, okay, well, I thought it was going to be like a nice, happy, sort of ending, and they, end up working together. And then, of course, she decides, we kind of find out what her plan is, and she's going to have them sent off on the plane, and she's going to turn herself back in. And it was a sad ending. It was pretty sad to see Hatchin honestly upset that Michiko is basically going away. And she says, it's not goodbye, it's I'll see you later. So it was really cool, and we get to see Michiko, pretty cool, to be totally honest, driving on a motorcycle, just, or, bike, motorcycle, whatever, as the plane kind of flies away. And so then we start getting kind of, back and forth skips through time, which I thought was actually pretty cool for the second half. And we get to see what happens with Hatchin in the beginning, or not in the beginning, but in the future when she grows up. And I was like, that's pretty cool. We get to see her daily life. We find out, unfortunately she ends up as a single mother. I thought that kind of sucked. I was like, that blows. And she mentions like the whole 3-month thing, but she has a son who she mentions. She doesn't say specifically, but obviously her son takes after his grandmother. So that was pretty cool seeing her go around with the kid who she carried, and like outside of the scene she was working, and when she went back home, I think she had the kid with her in every other scene, which I thought was actually kind of cool. So I like that. And then we get to see, they kind of jump back and forth, and so it's her finding out that Michiko turned herself in, and then them going across the border, and then we find out that Hiroshi totally ditched Hatchin for some random woman, and that made me really, really hate him. I was like, okay, he's on the run because of whatever, because he doesn't, Michiko's kind of crazy. Admittedly, we can be honest that she's a bit crazy. And then it's like, man, he's just a douche. Like, it just made me totally dislike him because he just took off. And she couldn't have been, I mean, she said it wasn't too much, later. So she was still fairly young. It was probably only like, I guess too much depending on how much time passed, because she was only 9 or 10. So based on considering the fact that she had a kid and everything, I guess that was like a 10-year span, I'd say. So, not too much later. It was probably like only 2 or 3 years. So she was only still a teenager when he just took off or whatever. So I was like, man, that really makes me hate that guy. So that happened. And the ending, I never thought I'd really have any emotions towards him. Kind of like how Hatchin didn't really have any emotions towards him. It was just like, oh, they're going on this journey to find this guy. Never really even considered what I thought of Hiroshi until me hating him by the end of this episode. So that was kind of interesting. I was like, huh, I never even thought, what do I feel about the guy, the character, outside of what they showed us. It was just like, oh, well, he's not much of a fighter. And I was like, okay, well, that's not really a feeling, that's just a fact. That's all I knew. So I never had any feelings towards him until this final episode. And I dislike the guy now by the ending, which doesn't matter. Ultimately, he obviously wasn't that important. It was Michiko and Hatchin, the title. But it was really cool. I certainly enjoyed it. It was pretty sweet that she figured out who the packages were coming from. That's what I figured from the beginning. I was like, well, it has to be, Michiko. And of course, that's exactly what happened. So she follows the trail and she kind of gets, like they have her with the bloody nose and everything, which I thought was funny. But she gets like this kind of burst of energy to just go and find her mother. And so they meet at the end and they hug each other, and it's like, well, how far will we go this time? And then, it's just the ending. And I thought it was a really good ending. I kind of wish we got to see what Michiko looked like older. I thought that would have been pretty interesting. But I don't know if it was like, oh, kind of keep the image of, young hot Michiko or whatever. But I was kind of curious what she looked like older. And I thought it was also insane that she still had the bike. Because I was like, how in the world did she manage to find that thing again? But I'm sure she just found one just like it. Or maybe it was the same one, who knows. Atsuko probably did her another solid. Was like, I'll hold on to this for you. Even though, if I remember right, yeah, she stole it in like the first episode. So never, technically wasn't hers anyway. But maybe that's what Atsuko did. She was like, alright, while you're in jail, I'll hold on to this and you can have it once you get out. But it was a great final episode. I was really happy to see that they both did make it out of the situation alive, and that was pretty cool. Wasn't expecting them to show Hatchin when she was an adult, so that was actually a nice surprise. I was like, oh man, we get to see her as an adult and what her life is like now. So that I certainly enjoyed. That was pretty cool because I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would just be they were gonna go through this crazy thing with the cops, and then they'd find Hiroshi, and whatever would happen from there. And then, they have the flash forwards and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, this is a nice little treat for the final episode. And, since they skipped the time, we get to learn exactly what happened with Hiroshi and, Hatchin having, her own baby and stuff like that. So it was a really good series finale. Sad to see the show go, of course. I haven't seen any trailers. I only watched like 3 of the shows on Toonami, but I haven't seen any trailers in the past couple weeks, really, as to what they're going to do to replace this, or what, new anime they're going to be getting anytime soon. But it'll either be an old anime coming back in, or they might repeat Michiko and Hatchin and just put it at a later time. But it was a great finale. Really sad to see the show go. Of course, I'm always sad when I really like a show and it ends. And I think it's different because for most animes, I watch most stuff online, so it's I just kind of speed rush everything, so it's kind of it's not the same impact where I'm waiting week to week for most of my anime. So it kind of had that impact where it's oh, I'm thinking about this and thinking about that. Most of the time it's just I go to Crunchyroll and I'll just watch 3 or 4 episodes in a row, and then I'll do the same thing 3 days later. So it's just alright, finish that one, and then move on to the next. But this was I haven't done that in a while, really. I can't even remember the last show that they kind of ended, even though I'm pretty sure I was reviewing it. I don't remember what it was, but it was definitely a fun show. Lots of comedy, lots of drama, pretty good action. Which they had some pretty good action during that opening scene with Michiko and Hatchin fighting the cops. That was actually pretty cool, and Hatchin just launching herself onto that one cop was crazy, and then Michiko was just kicking a ton of guys in the nuts, just kicking and spin kicks and stuff. And I was like, this is actually really sweet. She was doing a lot of it seemed like really solid martial arts. Like normally she would just do like a long kick and it would look cool, but she was actually like kind of spinning and stuff in this. So like this seems like real solid martial arts compared to, she'll just do like a jump kick or something, which technically, a part of martial arts, but she would just do a running jump kick that's, not really anything. But when she was fighting the cops, it was like she was kind of dodging a little bit and doing some spin kicks and stuff, and she'd get grabbed and then right in the nuts and then take him, kick him right in the stomach again. Like she messed that second guy up really bad because he had him and then she kneed him and then kicked him, and I was like, man, she really messed that guy up. But you gotta escape the cops, so did what she had to do. But certainly sad to see the show go, but I definitely love this final episode. Nice surprise with, the future stuff, like I said. But, of course, want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And through the entire series, I definitely want to know what your favorite episode was, if you can, think back. Or depending on how you watched it, you might remember them better. For me, I think one of my favorites was, like, the first episode where I wanted the story to continue on. Right after, one after another, and that was the episode when they were in the first city that they went to where they met like the fortune teller. I think it was only like the fourth episode or something, and the woman died at the end of that episode, and Michiko was kind of mad that she didn't help her out, and I really loved that episode. And then of course it made me mad that they kind of skipped past that, and they didn't talk about what happened afterwards. But I did enjoy that episode because it was. There was a lot of tension there. That woman was trying to help her sister, and all this other stuff was happening. So I certainly enjoyed that episode. The assassin episode was pretty cool. That was a good action episode, and that was another one I really wish continued, just because I would have loved to have seen what would have happened with those assassins, because neither of them died. Like the one guy who basically didn't feel pain, he like dropped off a bridge after being hit by a car and being shot. I think he got hit by a car after being shot. But he was all messed up and he was totally fine. And he like drops off a bridge. Obviously, Michiko survived that whole thing trying to take the truck to get repaired or whatever she was doing with that repairman's truck. And then the old guy, assassin, didn't get Michiko, so it was like they still kind of had that going. That was another really fun one. But overall, definitely loved the series. Like I said, want to know what you guys thought about the series in general. And of course, the series finale, the final episode. How it made you guys feel and everything. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.